I want to zero in on Dogecoin because 1 year ago, it traded at 0.002 cents, 3 decimal places. But it has rocketed 400% in the last week alone. And between 5 p.m. on Thursday and Friday last week, $68 billion in the Shiba Inu themed coin was traded on Robinhood. Doge briefly crashed the site. So we desperately need help understanding all of this. So we're bringing in Jesse Powell. He is co-founder and CEO of Kraken, one of the world's largest cryptocurrency exchanges. Jesse, welcome to Quicktake. If you could explain how a coin that started off as a joke has suddenly become the 4th largest cryptocurrency, that would be fantastic. Is this gambling or is this something more?
I think it's hard to know what the motivations are. There's clearly a lot of speculation in this space. And I think Dogecoin has been sort of a joke from the beginning. It's been a meme coin from the beginning. I think people put money into it just as sort of a joke, not really expecting to earn a lot, but you know, it's one of these kind of self-fulfilling cycles where the more people that come in to the joke, you know, the more it actually supports the price. And we've seen it come up 50x just this year. It was trading at a penny in January.
Yeah. And
like you said, before that, it was at, you know, a tenth of a penny, you know, for months before that. So, you know, I think that in some ways it's kind of a rejection of the existing system and the unfairness that exists within traditional markets with traditional assets. Mm-hmm. In other ways, you know, I think it's a test of, can we make something that's really nothing, that maybe has no real fundamental value, into something that does have value if enough people get behind it.
Okay, you touched on so many different points there. You run a crypto exchange. What kind of data do you see on Dogecoin that would help us understand how seriously to take it? I mean, do you think of it in the same way that you do Bitcoin or Ether?
No, not quite. So Dogecoin does not have a fixed supply the way that Bitcoin does. You know, we know exactly how many Bitcoin there will ever be in the end, which is 21 million. Dogecoin just continues to inflate indefinitely. So, I mean, in that way, it's closer to a fiat currency, right? Where you just don't know what the supply ultimately will be in the end, or where the end will be. So from a fundamentals perspective, as an investment, as a store of value, you know, generally this is why Bitcoiners love Bitcoin and hate to hold fiat currency, because it's just the value is being inflated away over time. And in order to keep up the purchasing power of that asset, you really need more people to come in faster than that is inflating. So Dogecoin is somewhat similar. You know, I personally don't see it as a long-term store of value because of this inflation component. Mm-hmm. I would much rather hold something with a fixed supply, you know, where I know what the future limit's going to be, like Bitcoin.
That's a good point. I mean, having said that, though, it has been on this incredible run, this rocket ship, and Doge fans are now pushing to make tomorrow, April 20th, Doge Day. They want to see it hit $1 tomorrow. Who's making real money on Dogecoin right now?
Clearly, anybody who's speculating on this, you know, who's bought Dogecoin in the last year has probably made tons of money on it. You know, who's going to be left holding the bag at the end of the day? You know, I don't know. It's always very risky to buy something, you know, when it's up 50x in a month. So, you know, I would not recommend it as an investment. It's extremely risky. It's extremely volatile. You know, it's moving up and down 50% in a day the last few days. So, you know, it's a market. Anyone can participate. You know, you can sign up to any number of crypto exchanges, including Kraken, and trade it. And in fact, we're seeing record numbers of signups coming into Kraken in order to trade Dogecoin. Mm-hmm. So there's sort of nothing, you know, blocking people from getting into it. And, you know, it might just be that self-fulfilling prophecy, that cycle actually, you know, continues to play forward. And maybe we do see a $1 plus Dogecoin. But, you know, personally, you know, I think it's fun and it's interesting to play these games and to follow what's happening with the coin. But I think you do have to look further out at the fundamentals if you are thinking about holding this as a long-term investment.
I guess it's notable, too, that Dogecoin is higher today. It reached a high of almost 43 cents, whereas Bitcoin and Ether are falling. And in fact, there was this weekend sell-off in Bitcoin and crypto overall as well. I know there are reports that have since been debunked that Treasury was looking to crack down on money laundering carried out through digital assets. How much do these digital coins move on these kinds of reports?
Generally, not so much. You know, it used to be in the earlier days when the market was less liquid and there were fewer participants that any sort of news like this would move the markets. Lately, I think that people have have come to take the media, generally the reports that come out about Bitcoin, with a grain of salt. Governments often, make statements that people, I think, realize now are just sort of just that, and don't necessarily mean that anything's going to play out with that. And I think the media, the journalists often get the coverage wrong, where they misunderstand some fundamental component. So I think people really have to look deeper than the headlines, and the crypto space has gotten accustomed to having to do that.
Okay. I want to switch gears now to Coinbase. You mentioned that a lot of people are signing up. They're buying Dogecoin on Kraken. What have you learned from the Coinbase listing when it comes to how your company will proceed eventually with some kind of listing?
It seems to be going pretty well so far. There's, again, some misunderstandings, I think, on the coverage of who sold what and how much they had. And I think some numbers have been misreported on that. But the way that the direct listing works, there are no sort of natural sellers. So somebody has to sell something to make a market. And I think my personal view is that right now the asset is undervalued. And I think we'll see the crypto exchange, the market cap for crypto exchanges, explode in the next few years as we get even further into replacing traditional banking services.
You had mentioned that SPACs, those special purpose acquisition companies, have been beating down your door, looking to perhaps take you public, to merge with you. What's the latest invitation you've gotten? Can you tell us a little bit more? Give us some color.
Yeah, these guys are still coming. They're, in a way, they remind me of a used car salesman. They are still lined up around the block to try to get us to market sooner. We are not in any rush to do that. I think we're learning a lot from the Coinbase direct listing, and we want to wait and see a bit and see if they're able to maintain the level of agility and ability to move quickly that is really required of this space. And while we're targeting the second half of next year for our own direct listing, it's still possible that we don't end up pulling the trigger on that. And it may be that remaining a private company is something that we want to do for a while longer.
Jesse Powell, really appreciate your time and sharing your thoughts on Dogecoin and all things crypto, co-founder of CEO of Kraken. And of course, tomorrow, April 20th, is supposedly Doge Day. There you go. There's the dog. I'll never be able to see one of those dogs again and think of it in the same way. Maddie?
So many memes to keep track of in Dogecoin world.